Well, hi everyone. And now I'm having this 10,000 sub special. I've been promising this for a long time, but we've been so busy with the council work and everything because the city council has started a new season. So Junes is in there. The season started at the beginning of this month. And there's been a lot of stuff with it, meetings and seminars and different sorts of training for new councilmen and me as his vice councilwoman. And
there's been some voting.
Some voting, yeah, because there was a bit of trouble because when we were deciding or negotiating about the different board seats that are available in the city management. There are like boards that decide about education, boards that decide about, say, social issues, construction, things like that. And we were, of course, thrown out of the very first negotiation and blocked from the rest of the negotiations and left completely out. So the big parties shared the board seats among themselves completely and left us out, even though they lied in the beginning that they wouldn't leave us with nothing, that they would be fair to us.
Well, they did not lie only in the beginning. They have lied the whole time. They are very crooked. The reason is, well, we are not from any party. We are independent candidates, and we won the election. 67 were elected, and I'm on position 19, and Tina is on position 30. So we didn't accept the terms that they had, that they wanted to impose on us, and we tried to negotiate, but they just shut us down from the negotiations completely. So now the result is that they decided what places they get, but on this Monday, when the first council meeting was held, there's a possibility to ask to vote for every seat, and I did that, and now they are very angry at me.
Yeah, so every time they gave their name lists that, okay, we are proposing these people for this board, and that usually should go just like that they propose it, nobody argues against it, and the chairman moves on to the next issue. But on each board, we said that, okay, we want vote, we name Junes or myself into that board or propose, and we demand a closed ballot vote, so that all of the councilmen need to go to the front of the hall and drop an actual paper ballot into a box, and that's how we ran all of the votes. The meeting took, was it 6 hours or something like that, with all the running around with the votes.
Yeah, and even the mainstream media has written about this, that it's the first time in this city that this happens. And they blame me for all the problems, that there's extra costs, because if the meeting is longer than 3 hours, then they get more money. So they claim that I cost 20,000 euros for the city, which is completely untrue, because I do not take any money from this job. And well, I have to say that they are all idiots, and they have they are idiots.
Yes, and they are not just idiots, but they are like disgusting human beings. Like every time I sit in the same room with these people, these other councilmen and vice councilmen, I feel like I need to get a shower, like bathe in bleach or something. Like I get dirty just from sitting in the same room with these people. They are like so they are so dishonest and so greedy and everything, that it just disgusts me on so many levels.
Yeah, and they are very stupid.
Yeah, that too.
They are complete morons.
Like most of these people are complete idiots. They don't know anything about anything, and there are a few smarter individuals among them who run the whole show. They decide what to do, and the rest simply obey them.
Yeah, they are there just for the status and the money. They can say that, yeah, it's cool, I'm a councilman, blah blah, but it's really stupid.
Yeah.
But it's just starting, and we have 4 years of this shit.
Yeah, the leftists say that it's going to be a very long 4 years for the rest of the council with us.
But yeah, people voted for us, and lots of, well, it's the same everywhere in Western countries, that people are, first of all, only half of the people vote in this city. They don't. It's nobody's interested in those people, and in fact, nobody even knows who they are. There are people, there are councilmen that have gotten maybe 200 votes, and that's it, in a city of 200,000 inhabitants. So they are nobodies. They have a large family, and yeah, that's basically it. And they have backing from their parties, so they have money that they can use on commercials, and they are friends with the mainstream media, so they get articles for nothing. There's no content in the thing. They claim things that are completely irrelevant to anything. They can say that immigration is great. They can say that
we need gender-neutral bathrooms,
yeah,
or Oulu will lose its reputation.
and this is true.
Like there is a female councilwoman who actually said that we need to have more immigration, more refugees, and gender-neutral bathrooms in public places, or Oulu's reputation will be permanently damaged.
And they don't want anything public. I have a camera, and I put up a YouTube live stream every time I go in there. But for example, yesterday when I was there, they said that I have not the right to film it, and they wanted to call the police to remove me from there. They say it makes us uncomfortable, and we don't like it. I don't care what you like or not.
Like if you feel uncomfortable when you're in the public eye, when you are being recorded, then you shouldn't be a politician.
Yeah, there are some islands in the Pacific, I believe, in which they have this belief that the camera steals your soul. And also I heard that there are some Islamic beliefs that you should not take pictures. Maybe they are part of that cult. I don't know.
But we have actually gotten support from a pretty wide base, actually, because you would think that it's only the far right that supports us, but actually it's been a lot of different people, because over here in our hometown there is this hegemony of power. Like there are certain parties that have been ruling the city all the time for decades, and there is a certain religious group, Lestarians, who hold a lot of powerful positions, even though they are only a very small minority of people over here. And they, for example, are in powerful positions in the police force. Our police chief is a Lestarian. A leader of the second biggest party is a Lestarian. The editor of the biggest newspaper is Lestadian. So this cult has a pretty strong hold on the city, and a lot of people are getting sick of it or have gotten sick of it, and they are welcoming to anyone who is shaking the boat or rocking the boat, and trying to get this hegemony off of our politics and bring back actual democracy.
Yeah, and as I said before, they whine about the extra costs of if the meetings are too long. But for example, yesterday it was 3 hours, and there were 50 other guys there, and the cost was 85 euros per participant. So it's already over 4,000 euros just for basically a useless course. You could just read the PDF files online. So I don't. But there's lots of things that the media won't say. But the good thing is that now that they write about this, I get to respond to those journalists, and that way we get more attention. And even though I can say that every one of those who are currently with me there, they are against me, and that's I have no allies in there. There is maybe 2 nationalists that are there, but even they are against me here. Well, that's
yeah, because you are basically making them look bad, because if you went there in the council, they would look far right, like they would look very anti-immigration or immigration critical, they would look very nationalist, but because you are there, it highlights how like all blight they are, like.
But I don't know, these people are very bizarre. They can be friends, but I don't know, they change. They have a changing personality in there. They at some points they can be shaking your hand, they can be smiling, but then the next moment they are stabbing you. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the system that makes them like that. But
yeah, and it's that these other nationalists, they have already been bought. Like they got the good board positions, and you don't get that sort of stuff in this city without some grade A ass kissing. So they have sold out.
And also, they are all the time complaining about behavior, or you should behave, and so. But I don't understand. It's if I disagree, that in their language it means that I behave badly. But they do not listen when you talk. There's a guy speaking in front of people, and they are just chatting to each other. And personally, I found that rude. But disagreeing is it's normal.
These people, they are completely like hysterical. Like this one guy who is a sort of bureaucrat, a manager in the city, called Younes, and he was very angry, and he said that Younes had been name calling him. Yeah. And I was listening to the call, but he had it on the loudspeaker, and I wondered, what? Like, at what point has he name called the guy? Younes asked him, okay, what have I called you? And the guy said, dude, you have called me dude. And he claimed that calling someone a dude is name calling. and completely inappropriate.
I don't understand this, but yeah.
But anyway, maybe we should move on to the first story of the days, which is a secret Facebook group of cops that got busted on being extremely racist. So that's the article, and the article was on a leftist online media called Longplay. And they say that racism has gone wild in a secret Facebook group of cops. And there is a closed Facebook group that only accepts you as a member if they can verify that you are a police officer. And I think it's around fourth or third of Finnish cops who are members in that Facebook group. And in that group, they have discussed certain news events, shared links, and now these discussions have been leaked to this Longplay leftist media, and they are, of course, making the most out of it. They are trying to exaggerate it to the point that you could get someone to actually pay for a leftist media subscription, because that's how they did it. Like, they first published a short article, and then a couple of days later a longer article on the same subject, but that was only for paying customers, so you need to buy a subscription to get to read that. So it was a complete, like, sort of click whoring at that. They would exaggerate the story like that and try to get people to buy the shitty newspaper or magazine with false premises.
Yeah, we have in Finland 7,400 police officers, and around 3,000 were members of that group. And it seems that some police officers have leaked screen caps from this group, and well, we do not understand what is the problem with those articles that have been shared, or the discussion that is there. The feminist leftist newspaper claims that it's racist, but we could not locate racism in there. They, in some comments, they might be crude, but well, there was an asylum seeker that, in the mainstream media's narrative, it's the story goes that he tried to kill himself by hanging, but the reality is that it was a fake attempt. It was not real. And so one police officer says that, well, they cannot even kill themselves. They have not the ability to do it. So this is not okay for some. But yeah, so what? And the problem is that now it's a big issue for the officials. Now they have fired a police officer that was moderating, or supposed to moderate the thing, and he said that he knew about this, but he didn't react, and he had left the group in April. But even the higher police officers, they claim that they had no idea of this, but it seems that they knew also about this, and they have lied that they did not know about it. The problem is that now they want to fire every police officer that has wrong ideas, or and the thing is that, of course, police officers should have the right to express their ideas, and moreover, it was a closed group, so it wasn't really public. So it's like if they were talking in their in their coffee room to one another, and someone was monitoring that discussion, and if somebody says something wrong, then he's fired. So how are you supposed to work in that environment?
How are you supposed to say trust your partner? Because that's really important in police work, that you trust the people you're working with, because your life can actually depend on them. So how does that affect you, the working environment of these cops, if they have to fear each other all the time, that anyone can snitch them to the big brother and tell their racist thoughts to their superior?
And maybe the funny thing is that the moderator of that group was this guy, and he has been many times on the news, on the radio.
And I actually mentioned him in one of my latest videos, in which I talked about the sign crime. The police report someone had filed about the sign Younes was holding at the Dance for Humanity demo. And in that video, I mentioned that this famous hate speech cop, this guy, called Younes, and that he is the lead investigator in the case in which Younes is being investigated for subtitling a video and uploading it on YouTube and Facebook. And it was the video of the based Frenchman. That can also be found on my channel, that subtitled video. And this dude was the lead investigator. And he could have said no to the investigation. Like, he could have said, okay, it's obvious there's no crime here. We are not going to start an investigation. That's something cops can do if they get completely dumb police reports. But he chose not to do that. And on the phone, he was all condescending to Younes, saying that, okay, there is this 59-page report you should read, and that report tells you what is hate speech and what is not, so that you won't get in trouble anymore, that you will know what is hate speech. And Younes, of course, called him a moron, a waste of time. And the recording of that phone call is on his YouTube channel. And now this guy himself is in trouble for hate speech, and I, of course, have to fuck with him a little bit. And on Facebook, I tried to ask him, okay, how do you feel about this now? Maybe you should have read that 59-page report, so that you would have known what is hate speech and you wouldn't have gotten in trouble.
Yeah, it's maybe 5-year-old report, and it deals with all kinds of situations. For example, if you are the moderator of a group, and you know about the article, about some material that could be so-called hate speech, then you can be prosecuted. And well, I filed a report against him, and I also told that please read this 59-page report that you yourself wrote. And well, maybe this will make him think. Maybe, I'm not sure, because he's not a. Maybe he's a good guy, but I don't know. And now he is in trouble because of hate speech. And he in the media he's always saying that okay, we have freedom of speech in Finland, and you can criticize immigration, you can do this, you can do that, but you have to be correct. You need
to say it in a nice way.
Yeah, there's an invisible line that you have not to cross. But this what he says is nonsense, because you can be charged for anything. I subtitled a video. Okay, so it's not my problem. I held a sign in which I claimed that many things which were appropriated from other people. There's one sentence was "learn to swim." That is from a Democrat who had said previously, many years ago, she had said, "Stop complaining about the tidal wave of Islam and learn to swim." Okay, so if I say the same thing, then I'm prosecuted.
And it might have been that these leftists who saw the sign, that they mistook the sentence, that they thought that the learn to swim sentence meant the drownings in the Mediterranean.
But even if
it did, it still would be, it's a useful advice. It would save lives.
Yeah.
Like, why are they against refugees knowing how to swim? Like, why are they against migrants not drowning because they can swim?
This hate speech thing is completely, the only cases in which you should be maybe prosecuted if you incite an attack. You say, go and kill that group of people, and you really incite something. But if you just do stuff, you express ideas, why should you be prosecuted? Anyways, they spend millions of euros on this bullshit that only irritates people even more. It has the opposite effect that it is supposed to have. I will be prosecuted for a blog writing maybe this summer or in the fall later. I don't know, maybe next year. I was interrogated 3 years ago now. And, well, it's very slow in this country. If you work with the government, you have to wait. Well, I don't care. And I will be fined maybe maximum 300 euros. And people will pay that for me. So I don't know what is their point. Of course, if they get this conviction, then the council can whine that you are not. We should fire you because you write things that are illegal. This is what has happened to an MEP here in Finland. He was fined 5 years ago, and they still whine about this. That he has written something that should not be written, so he should not have this place or this place. But if people vote for you, it's difficult to.
Yeah, and we have more of these in our one earlier live stream.
Yeah.
I think, what was the name of it? It was something about reading hate speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, you can find it in the previous live streams. On that live stream, we read these texts that have gotten people convicted.
But YouTube is pretty cool because, for example, Facebook, we are all the time banned from it.
We are both now banned from there.
Yeah, currently I'm still banned. I have 5 days to go. I got 30 days. I get 30 days of ban, then I can write for a few days, and then again 30 days of ban. But on YouTube, it's you can appeal, and
there are actual people who read your appeals and feedback, and they actually respond to you in a decent time.
And our sendings, our videos are so long that the feminists, they do not watch these things. Only the hater, the racists watch these. So it's our safe space here. But about this group and this problem, they want to. But I haven't spoken English in such a long time that I have to search for words. But they want to re-educate some police officers about this. I don't know why. The police officers, they are on the street and they see all the problems that the mass immigration has brought to Finland. What would that re-education consist of? Would it be like,
like, don't believe your own eyes, don't believe your own everyday experience of this world, don't believe your experience that of the overrepresentation, say Somalis having crime in Helsinki. Don't believe that. Just believe everybody's equal and all problems must be about racism, that there can be no other cause for any problems about race.
Yeah, it will only irritate them more. And imagine that if some police officers tell the educator that fuck off, you're an idiot, they will get problems.
And maybe we could read some of the comments from that created this so-called scandal. Or I'm not saying really a scandal, because it's more of a creation of the leftist media and the anti-racists, that they are trying to create an outrage around this. But the normal people are absolutely disinterested, that they don't give a shit about something like this. Most people laugh at this. But the leftist media, which means all media almost in Finland, is really trying hard to get some sort of an outrage out of this. And here are a couple of comments from the CUPs, and I'll try to translate these as well as I can. So the first one says that the fact of the matter is that East Asians who have left as immigrants to other places in Asia, Australia, North and South America, and to Europe have succeeded in all of these places. The people coming from Africa don't succeed in any place of the world. I think the reasons might be both cultural and genetic, and because of that, also partly hereditary, regardless of the individual. This obvious fact is still denied because it would be politically incorrect to admit it. And no other explanations are left than the constant racism. And with that, you can pretty much explain away all of the bad things that happen in your life. So that's completely true. Like, does somebody actually have evidence to counter this? Like, does somebody have evidence that, yeah, there is this country in which the African refugees have succeeded so greatly? Like, so show me a place in which Somalis have succeeded in an amazing way, like, or even at the average rate of the local people. Like, show me a place where, say, Somalis or Nigerians or Libyans or Syrians or Iraqis or people from Africa or Middle East, show me where they succeed or even reach the average level.
Yeah, but the problem with hate speech is that even if it's true, it is still hate speech.
And that's actually the law over here in Finland, that the law defines hate speech in such a way that if you put out there an information, opinion, or any sort of a publication that could be interpreted as hate inciting, threatening, that kind of stuff, then you are committing inciting hate against a minority. And and keep in mind that it doesn't matter whether the opinion or information is true or not. That's not a factor over here. Even if it's true, but it's considered hate inciting or threatening, then you are committing a crime.
I think that basically everybody could agree with that claim. And those that do not agree, they still know that it's true, but they, for some unknown reason, they fight against reality. And where does this come from? Well, it came from the European Union in 1996 when we took this hate speech law from the EU, and then it has evolved constantly towards a more strict application. And now it's the politicians are claiming that it's a big problem. They use reports from the European Union, from the United Nations, from Finland. From Finland, they send reports to the EU, and then the EU sends the report, and then our politicians say, hey, the EU has said that this is a problem, so we have to fight it.
Yeah, so that they first send a report to EU saying that Finland has a racism problem. Then the EU sends back their own report saying, okay, you have a racism problem. This is what you need to do about it. Then when the EU report comes in, the politicians over here take it and show it to people like, look, we have a racism problem. Even the EU says so. And they themselves have claimed that to the EU.
Yeah, and this is due to the fact that a big part of the voters are idiots. They are, and of the populations, they are basically morons. They do not connect basic facts, and they vote for those idiots. And this is how it goes. Okay, there's on the city level 50% who vote. The others don't care. On the national level, there's maybe 70% of the population who vote. And out of this 70%, there's a certain part that vote for intelligent politicians, but they are a very small minority. I don't know. We have in our National Assembly we have 200 politicians, deputies. I don't know. Maybe there's 5 that have brains, but the others. And I don't want to offend them. I'm just stating the facts that they are like that. Because if you try to discuss with them about this problem, they will say, yes, but we have freedom of speech, and you cannot. It's like talking to a robot. It's that's the tragedy of our system, that we get ruled by idiots and greedy people who they don't care. They just want. One good example was in March when the election started here. They had the National Coalition Party. They had brought this one guy that used to be the Ministry of
Interior.
Yeah, Interior, and he was in charge when 32,000 Iraqis came into Finland, and we asked him, why didn't you close the borders? And he was like, well, we have already discussed this. Well, I haven't. And he had no answers to anything, and now we have big problems. We had big problems even before, but that amplified the problem to a very high level, and we are still trying to expel. Maybe this year there's been three deportation planes to Afghanistan from here, and they use Boeing 747s, in which they place 10 to 12 refugees. So they use a big plane just for 10 people, and even these flights cost hundreds of thousands of euros. All this for nothing, a complete waste of money. And these people should have been blocked at the border when they entered. But even this issue, if you say we have to stop the asylum system because it should not exist, they will tell you that, yeah, but the Geneva Convention and blah blah, which they have never read. They do not know what it says accurately. They have it's insane, but it's worth the fight.
Somebody in the comment section is asking, are you a burb? I don't know, are you?
No.
But to the comments of the police officers, we got a bit off track over there, but let's continue. The second cup responds to the guy who talked about the cultural and genetic traits, and says that I think he is correct partly in his comment. But anyway, the way the majority people treat these people affects, especially in the United States, and there the effects of racism and systemic discrimination are difficult to deny. So this cup even talks about racism and systemic discrimination as if they are like the source of the racial issues in the United States, and they are claiming this cup group is racist. And the next comment is completely truthful. This cup in the last comment says, I'm not going to comment on this because you cannot tell your opinion about these matters in this country anymore. And yeah, this goes to prove it. The fact that this comment ended up on a leftist online media, which is trying to create outrage over it, is proof positive for that guy's comment. You cannot tell your opinion in this country anymore.
And the next one is a news article in which it said that an asylum seeker tried to hang himself at the railway station in Helsinki. And a guy who shared the link had written, wouldn't it be the time to stop this clownery? So this is probably racist. And the first comment is a YouTube link to a video showing the so-called hanging.
And the title of the video is that illegal invader tries to hang himself in the camp outside Atheneum, which is a museum. And this event was such that on that square, there were a whole lot of people. And in the middle of the square, there is a single tree. And this migrant took a rope, climbed into that tree in the middle of all those people, and pretended as if he was about to hang himself. And of course, that's not going to happen. Like, no serious suicidal person tries to commit a suicide like that. They will know that these other people around them will stop that from happening. So no, that's not a serious attempt. If someone really tries to commit a suicide, they will make sure that nobody is there to stop them. They won't climb into a tree in a very theatrical way and pretend as if they are killing themselves in front of a whole lot of people. And one cup says this too, that he sarcastically comments that, oh, not in any way an attention-seeking choice of place to leave your earthly worries behind. But in all, this is sad. So they are simply pointing out that, yeah, this was acting. And one cup says, even that they cannot do. So yes, you can consider that mocking, but how is that racist? Because he's apparently talking about the asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are not a race. They are a lot of different races of people. A person of any race can be an asylum seeker. So how can you claim that that mocking comment is racism? And one cup, this was the comment that got a lot of media coverage. Like, they claimed that this was the mocking of the asylum seeker's suicide attempt. And media, of course, is talking about it as a suicide attempt, like it's a serious suicide attempt. They don't point out that, yeah, there was no way this guy could have pulled this through. And this one cup says, yeah, that looked such a lame attempt that I don't think he would have gone all the way. But I think the message went through, in the anti-racist group Rasmus. I haven't even dared to check. And the part that got the leftists to have their little outrage was that he said that it was a lame attempt. And lame attempt is actually a legal term in Finnish, that it's used in courts even. That let's say someone tries to commit an arson, but he commits the crime in such a way that there's no way for him to succeed in his attempt. Then it's called a lame attempt. And he's not given as serious a penalty as he would get if he had committed the crime in a way that it could have succeeded. So lame attempt is it's not mocking. It's simply saying that there is no way this guy could have pulled that through, and it's true. Like there's no chance for him to pull it through. And even that they call racism. And where is the racism in that? Like, where does he mention a specific race? How is it racism to say that that is a lame attempt? And that's something Younes often asks these people when these leftists come and they say, okay, that's racist, that's racist. And he asks, okay, what is racist about that? They always get completely silent because even they can't explain what they think is racist about things like this.
Yep. So.
And you could scroll on to the next comment. So there was another news article these cops commented on, and it was about a person working in emergency response, answering 911 calls, and he or she had used the word Negro. And the media, of course, tried to make a big deal out of it, but it didn't really catch on. And the cops are saying it's a bit ridiculous to get all outraged over someone using the word Negro. And they are asking, okay, is night black okay? Or will it be interpreted as hate speech from now on? How about ebony? And one guy says, a dark white could be neutral enough.
Yeah, the caller had told the 911 dispatcher that there is a dark person who has stolen something from this shop, and the dispatcher asks, "You mean a Negro?" And that is the outrage, because a dark person could be also another type of person.
Yes, and this word in Finnish, negeri, it's often translated as nigger, but that's not a correct translation for it, because nigger is a term that has been derogatory for all its history. Like it has had a demeaning tone to it all the time. But this Finnish word negeri is a bit closer to Negro, because until say 1980s, it was a completely normal word for Black Africans. Like it wasn't derogatory in any way. It was simply a word for Black Africans, and nobody thought it was in any way mean or demeaning. It only turned into a demeaning word when the political correctness reached Finland, and it was decided that the word negeri is offensive. And then the cops comment on yet another news article. And this article was interesting. It was about the rapper called the Black Barbarian, Musta Barbari. And you could try to find his picture to share on there. And this guy, he has tried to bring this Black Lives Matter attitude and activity to Finland. And on Facebook, he claimed that his mom and his sister were baselessly detained by police officers who were doing immigration control, like they were seeking for illegal aliens. And yeah, this is the guy. And he claimed that the cops had been very inappropriate in their treatment of his mom and sister. But when the investigation was made, all the eyewitnesses collaborated with the story of the cops. They said that the women had been difficult, that the cops hadn't done anything wrong. So this rapper was lying. And these cops were simply doing normal work. Like, of course, you have to do a bit of racial profiling to get anything done in immigration control, because if you start simply stopping random people, like not giving a shit about any of their external characteristics, you are only going to waste your time. There's no point in stopping people who are white and who speak Finnish, because you know they are here legally. So it's more useful and effective to simply stop those people who look like the people who are usually here illegally. And at the moment, most people who are here illegally are brown or black. So of course you should stop brown or black people if you mean to find any illegal aliens.
Yeah, and they did not speak Finnish, so there might be some Russian or Estonians also illegally. Well, Estonians cannot be illegally, but they might be otherwise criminal. But if the person who is walking in the street does not speak Finnish, it's very normal to ask his ID. And if you are asked your ID, just show it and do not make a show about it. It's not an offense to ask your ID. It's a normal procedure. I don't know why nobody says this in the mainstream media, that, hey, you idiots, if a police officer asks your ID, he does not want to fight with you. He just wants to check your fucking ID, and just show it to him and stop whining. Racism.
Yeah, and we could check out the comments the cops had to say about this so-called case of racial profiling. So about this black barbarian, one guy says that he recommends to the barbarian a trip to the library or a bookstore, and that he should pick up a copy of The Boy and the Wolf and read it with some thought. And I think he's completely correct. And this was one comment that got a lot of media attention. This was called racist. One guy says, some people just can't quit. Some people just can't shut up. This man from Turku becoming more like a man from Eastern Helsinki, the pink gerbil really proves that yet again. So they called this black barbarian a pink gerbil. And the media is taking this with all seriousness, and they are saying this is racism. Like, I would understand if it was the other way around. Like,
No.
if this guy's rapper name was Pink Gerbil and the cop would call him a black barbarian, then I would understand why it's racism. But I don't know, is it racism to call him in the wrong color? Like, if he had said that he's a black gerbil.
No, but what I understand is that he means that himself is from Turku. He has moved to East Helsinki, and he refers to himself.
No, I don't think so, because the barbarian is from Turku.
Okay.
But that sounds like it.
Okay.
And one cop says sarcastically that because the black barbarian also thinks that the problem is that we cannot know who is a foreigner and who's not, could we just try to avoid the confusion and racism by making all foreigners carry, e.g., and sign on their sleeve or some other sort of sign, nobody anywhere has ever tried this. An exclamation mark. So he's obviously joking that he means that he refers to the Nazi Germany, and he's being sarcastic. So the media is treating this as if a cop seriously says that foreigners should carry some sort of a badge on their sleeve. So they are taking these things out of context, and they are pretending jokes are things that have been said with seriousness, and they are trying to exaggerate the hell out of this to get some subscriptions for their shitty online paper. That there's nothing here that's worth the trouble. Like, Minister of Interior or the Secretary of State has commented on this, and she is very worried about this racism. The high leadership of our police force is commenting on this. Everybody's commenting on this. Everybody's worried about this. And that's what the racism is, calling black barbarian a pink gerbil. Like, that's the secret racist group of cops. Like, that's what they have to resort to. And I'm sort of glad that this sad attempt to get subscriptions for this crappy online paper didn't really work, because the London terrorist attack, it took a lot of media attention away from this case. So I don't think I don't think they got as many subs as they thought they would get. And I don't know, do you have any other points on this case?
No, I'm interested to see what will this bring for the police. Will they go on strike, or will they accept this nonsense? Because they have a job. They are police officers. They don't need this tone policing or whatever.
And isn't it usually leftists who say that tone policing is a bad thing? And now they are tone policing cops all the time.
I don't know. Maybe this will make police more, angrier, because they already have lots of shit to deal with, and if now they cannot express themselves, or maybe they will create a new group in which they will accept only real police officers, not those snitches. I don't.
Most likely they already have such groups.
Maybe.
In which they just let off steam and talk with no censorship, that they leave all these bitches out. But they have to accept the bitches also to that group, because how would they explain it to another cop that, okay, we are not accepting you because you are a complete bitch and we think that you might snitch on us. So they, in this bigger group, they have to accept these losers, but I bet they have their own groups already where they talk with no censorship.
Yep. I don't know.
And one case we thought we could talk about comes from Stockholm. And it's about Stockholm doing some prioritizing. And they are deciding that they are offering crisis help or crisis therapy for the migrants, but not for Swedish women. And there is that, and the article says that for decades, women who have fell victims of rape have gotten, I'm trying to read, keep it there, have gotten crisis therapy from the municipal crisis and trauma center. But now the politicians have decided over there that the city's contract with the crisis center doesn't include the crisis therapy of rape victims, and that for them they have to figure out some other place. And the clinic has offered help yearly for around 200 people, of which 140 have been women, and most of them have been rape victims. So this clinic has basically been accepting women who have fell victims of rape because it has been thought that they are a group that really needs help, and that it has been a stable situation with that without further thinking. And a woman who has been raped has been guided by the police to this crisis and trauma center to get the help in her treatment. But now the local politicians have decided that the Swedish women don't need help anymore, and that the crisis therapy will now be targeted to the poor little refugees. And they are saying that the help for Swedish women doesn't specifically fill the criteria that make the need for crisis therapy really necessary. And they say that it's important to help people who are escaping war, persecution, and torture, but that in comparison to this, the experience of the Swedish woman who has gotten raped is less important. So they simply stop giving crisis therapy for rape victims and start simply offering it to the migrants who rape women.
They have brought so many rapists in their country that they have so many raped women that they cannot help anymore the women, but they have to help the rapists. Sweden is very bizarre.
Yes, and it gets like more absurd by the minute that you think you have seen it all with the Swedes, but no.
And well, normally they say that you cannot put a price on human rights and on helping people, but when it comes to Swedish women, there is a price. And yeah, all people are equal and so, but not here, because you have to. You tax your people. You have created your welfare state, but it's not for the people who pay for it and who are victims of politicians' stupidity. That's you have to help some random guys that have just walked in your country, who claim they are traumatized, because the same way as they claim to be underage, because the system is such that if you have traumas, if you are underage, it is easier to get that residence permit or that asylum, and that's the only reason that they claim all this shit. They don't know what a trauma is. It's a too complicated term for this.
And Sweden is pretty funny because they are so deep in this shit that they have lost all touch with reality, that they don't seem to see it themselves, how ridiculous this stuff is that they are doing, that it has become the new normal for them, that they don't even get outraged over things like this because it's completely normal. They are used to it. This is how things are handled in Sweden.
Yeah, and we have to point out that Sweden is even more fascist than Finland as a country. There, the political correctness is much higher. The group we talked about just minutes ago, it would not have lasted so long there, and their police officers, for some reasons, I don't think they would do that. There have been some police officers in Sweden that have acted as so-called whistleblowers, but but I don't know. The people are so different in these two countries that.
Yeah, but I take offense to you calling them fascist. Like, I'm a bit fashy, and I take offense in calling that fascist.
Yeah, but
Like,
by fascist,
fascist is exactly what they should be.
yeah, but I mean the communist way.
Yeah. Mm. I guess you could take it like that too. And one example I thought of was the report they had made in Sweden about the problems the lying migrants cause for themselves. Because a lot of migrants lie about their country of origin, a lot of migrants lie about their age. So let's say someone is a 30-year-old guy and he claims to be 17, and he gets a pass, and he gets a Swedish paperwork that says he's 17. And he's actually from Afghanistan, but he claims to be from, say, Syria. And they name his country of origin as being Syria. So when the guy lives in Sweden and he should be at the age of retiring, he cannot retire because his paperwork shows him to be much younger. So when he retires, he will be 78 years old when others retire at 65. And then if he later wants to return to his own country, he cannot return to Afghanistan because he's Syrian now, on paper at least. So Afghanistan most likely won't take him back there because he cannot prove he's from Afghanistan. So it's funny that they take these phenomena as such obvious facts that they even make reports about stuff like this, that like, oh, okay, we have a lot of these migrants, we got 100,000 of them on 1 year, a lot of them lie, let's see what sort of problems they cause for themselves by this lying. Like, even in a case like that, they managed to turn the migrants into victims. And I think it just tells a lot about the Swedish nature, like how they, what their take on different issues is. And our next story comes from here in Finland. And here we have had a lot of problems with striking migrants. So these migrants, they decide to hold their protests and strikes on whatever basis. And this has happened in many towns, and the most famous one, the oatmeal protest, was held a couple of years ago over here in our hometown. And in that, these migrants claimed that the food offered to them was bad, that they weren't used to food like that, and that they want better food. And I think it was it on that occasion when the one guy said that we just want our money?
Yeah, and those clips have been used in many videos that are circulating on the internet. Yeah, there's you can see from all over Europe problems, and there's two clips that are from here. It's the one guy who says that I give this food for dog for women.
This for women problem.
Yeah, and he's like this.
Yeah, he's looking very disgruntled and pointing at the food on the paper plate.
And the other is from the same place. It's yeah, we only want our money. And maybe you have seen them, but
and one guy with the porridge or the food, we call him the oatmeal general. I don't think it was oatmeal on his plate, but but the one thing they complained about was that they were offered oatmeal or porridge for breakfast, and they said that they are not used to eating porridge, so that has to change. And
the reaction here was to change their menus.
Yes, they just bow down to everything these guys ask for. But now in the town of Imatra, there is a very racist migrant protest. So in there, these Iraqi males, or were they Iraqi? Let's see.
Well, probably.
Yes, that name Mahmoud Auden Sahid sounds very Iraqi. So these Iraqi males were disgruntled about the fact that the asylum seeker reception center had to house them with Somalis and Indians. And usually these reception centers house these migrants by language groups, so that they put in the same group, same room, only people who speak the same language. But because this reception center is so full, they didn't have that option this time. And this local strike general Mahmoud Auden Sahid tells that one of us should have had to live with a Somali, another with an Indian. This doesn't fit us in any way, because we would have wanted a shared room between us. So they are now sleeping on the lawn of the reception center. And it's of course one of these mock protests that it's warm summer night, so they can sleep outside, of course, without any problem. And when morning comes, they go back to the reception center, they have breakfast there, they take everything offered to them, food and money and everything, but they pretend to be protesting by sleeping outside. And they have done this before, that they protest about food, claim that they are on hunger strike, but then they just go back to the inside of the reception center and have lunch right after it. Like these strikes aren't that serious. And I think this is an international phenomenon, because there was this footage from Calais, where the migrants were holding a protest. They were on hunger strike, or they claimed to be on hunger strike, and claimed to sew their mouths shut. And these pictures and footage showed how these leftists who were there aiding these people brought them chocolate and other treats. So that's sort of a hunger strike.
Yeah, and well, noteworthy is the way this is presented in the media. This is normal. There's nobody whining that this is racism. There's no official feminist saying that this is illegal. We brought you a Somali here. You have to live with him. But if a Finnish person would say that, then there would be hate speech charges, and there would be reports that Finland is the most racist country in the world. But when it's them, no outrage. In fact, the anti-racists, they are even helping these people with racist thoughts, which is, I don't know. It promises a working multicultural society if these people, even while waiting for their residence permit, they already cannot work together or live together in conditions in which everything is offered. And well, we have mentioned this the protest at the camp at the railway station, which started in February. The only so-called refugees that are at this camp are from Iraq. There are no Somalis. There are no other nationalities. The only people are from Iraq, and it was the same in our city, but that ended before the 1st of May. And also the only people who were camping there, because the media calls this a protest or a
demonstration. And I really wouldn't say that a couple of old crazy batshit communists with 1 or 2 migrants is a demonstration.
It's a rally, but there are no speeches. There's nothing. They're just hanging there and making food and doing nothing. So it's not a protest. If you have no, well, of course they have demands and they have things like that, but they are illegally, because these campers and these people, they have had their applications rejected already twice. They are just waiting to be deported. But since they have gotten rid of their IDs before they enter the country, they cannot be sent back. There's a few asylum seekers that have been deported, but they are the ones that did not destroy their passports before entering the country. So they were the
more honest ones.
Yeah. So those, okay, yeah, since we can't send them back, let's send them back. They had nothing to hide, so probably. But these guys who have some have 5 identities and their age is constant. There's one guy that he was interviewed in Copenhagen in Denmark in 2015. In that article he says he's 23. Now it's the current year, it's 2017. He's still 23 years old, and his name has changed 5 times, but it's the same guy. So this guy we cannot send back because he seems legit. His age doesn't. He's very young. Yeah, one reason for immigration that our politicians bring up is the Finnish people are aging. But as we can see, if you bring an immigrant, he doesn't age. He's always 23. Once 23, always 23. But yeah, you cannot send them back, and they are camping, and you have a group of anti-racists that help them, and they fear no charges for helping illegal migrants, and there's no way it will be made illegal anytime soon, as it should be, because it's not legal. It's like if you get a speeding ticket, but it's okay. Or if you subtitle a video and you are not charged. Imagine that. So, okay. So this happened this week. We have a asylum center that has some apartheid.
Yeah, there needs to be tight segregation in these places because, of course, we are being told that by importing these people, we are importing multiculturalism, pluralism, all these lovely positive abstract values. But it seems that we are actually importing bigotry and hate and racism and xenophobia and all these things leftists claim to be against. And this is what I've always said about the migrants, that they are much more bigoted and hateful as normal people than the most bigoted Finns are. Because among these people, among Iraqis, for example, very oppressive ideas about women's status are completely normal. They are majority opinions. It's a majority opinions that gays should get killed. It's a majority opinion that apostates should be killed. Like, those are majority opinions in Iraq. They aren't majority opinions in Finland. We are importing insane bigotry and violence.
Yeah, and we have no reason to do this. It's just the politicians that say that. And even when we were talking about the food protest, that this food is for dogs, and they got their menus changed. The normal people, they didn't accept this, but the people who are in charge, who have who are working there, for some reason they are idiots. They have no courage to say that fuck you. If you don't like this food, fuck off. That's the only way you should cope with this. But this asylum center in which they don't want to live together, it's, well, I'm not surprised, but in Germany they have completely separate buildings for the different groups. You have some centers for Christians, you have some centers for all the groups are segregated in Germany. And here, I don't know, it's difficult to know how what kind of asylum seekers stay in Central Europe and which ones are the ones that had continued till Sweden and from there to our country. What has pushed them to come here? This would be interesting to know, that if a guy stays in an overcrowded center because one of the reasons that that has been told is that Southern Europe is full, Greece is full, France is full, and even Sweden is full, so that's why they come to Finland. But still, there are some that stay in Sweden. And in fact, during the French election, I went to Paris to make a report. And in Paris, I saw under the bridges, I saw hundreds of tents. And I don't know from where they were, but it's obvious there's some kind of I don't know, not like recycling, but the first stop is probably that those tents, and then some people will move on to maybe a normal flat, which will be divided or shared by 20 of these migrants. But okay, so some people will not stay there, and it's very difficult to know what's the reason, because I have interviewed them, and one reason they have told me is that I googled the human rights in Sweden and in Finland, and I noticed that in Finland there are better human rights. Yeah, nice explanation, but I do not believe that. One explanation is, but my children will get a better education in Finland. Where are they? Oh, I left them in Iraq. Okay. So what is the reason, or how, what is the type of migrants that have decided to go further north? That would be because we have tons of research and useless bullshit, but this is a topic that should be researched by someone that gets money from the government.
But about these food protests, there was another funny food protest in another reception center not so long ago. And in that protest, these asylum seekers were protesting that and claiming that they were given low quality water, bread that has already gone old, like spoiled bread, and spoiled vegetables. And it turned out that they had been given this drink fountain. And you know, the kind with the tank on the top. And it was their responsibility to clean that tank every now and then, and they had failed to do so. So naturally the tank had gotten dirty. And then they were complaining about their water being all nasty looking because they had themselves failed to clean the fucking tank.
It's like the prison scene in the third Naked Gun movie. It's, what is this? This is not spring water. But, what is this? We are. What are we? We are human.
And these migrants then complained about the bread and tomatoes, and what they had to show for it was a bag of bread that had been in the freezer, like it had been frozen when it had been bought, and then defrosted. So even though the time and the date showed that it had gone stale, it hadn't gone stale because it had been frozen. And these guys don't understand defrosting. And then they had to show for this terrible neglect a tomato with a soft spot on it. Seriously, migrant showed a tomato with a soft spot on it as a proof that they are being given very low quality food, that they are being given spoiled vegetables.
This is unacceptable.
And they went so far that even the most radical anti-racist leftists, the Women in the Refugee Hospitality Club Facebook group, which is the group in which they always organize these demonstrations in, even the women in there, the white Finnish women who like to mother these migrants and maybe more, these women even told them, okay, no, don't go ahead with this. This will look bad because a lot of Finnish people eat defrosted bread. A lot of Finnish people eat tomatoes, even though they have a little soft spot on them. So it's going to look bad if you protest about this. But no, the migrants didn't listen. They had to get to explain to the media how their water is bad and how their tomatoes have soft spots on them. This is terrible customer service. We are very dissatisfied with the service around here.
Yeah, and so how's the war in your country? And you left your whole family there. How are they doing?
Yeah.
Never mind. I want fresh water. This is well. There are many videos on the internet in which you can see the same attitude in every European country. There's one video where there's a black guy throwing a juice box because there's, I don't know, 15% sugar or I don't know, something. There's this famous video from Hungary in which they give them water, but they just throw them back at them. And in Macedonia, there's the Red Cross bringing food, and they do not accept it, and some cultural differences. When you
and then there is a really funny one with the leftist cock going to some reception center with the food bags, and he is obviously planning to go there like Jesus Christ and hand out those food bags, but instead he gets basically robbed, like those migrants mob him completely and just take the food from him, and he's left there with nothing. And even the guy is angry at that point, like he's like, okay, I'm done with this.
He's racist.
This Jesus Christ thing didn't really work out.
He became racist.
And we have another story, and this is from Finland. This came in today. And Finland has now gotten officially its first sexual emergency. This is from a newspaper called Iltalehti. It's a big newspaper. And the headline goes, a friend was lying next to her, didn't dare to help. A man forced a schoolgirl to have sex with him in the night. And they say that a grown man invaded or went next to a 15-year-old girl who was sleeping in the night and forced her into having sex. And the man defended his actions with exceptional and unpredictable temptation. And they say that these events got started in an apartment of a 22-year-old man. And if I guess correctly, all of these men are migrants, because at least the one convicted was, and usually these guys like to hang around in packs. So I guess this was the situation, that there were migrant men and Finnish girls in there. And could you?
The picture probably has nothing to do with the case, because in a Finnish media the pictures are just random stock photos. They I don't know why, but and anyway, who would have taken the photo in this situation?
Yeah.
And even if there were a photo, it would be secret.
Yeah, they wouldn't show it because it would show that the assailant is a migrant. And they say that during the night, this group that had 4 young women. Why are they calling them young women? This was a 15-year-old girl. Is she a young woman? No, she's a teenage girl. But they always like to do this, that they use words like youth about grown migrant men, so they would sound more young and innocent. And of the victims, they like to use the word woman, even if the girl is 14 or 15 years old, because it makes it sound less bad to talk about raping a woman than it sounds raping a teenage girl or a child. So they use these words very carefully. And so there was a group of 4 young women and these 2 men, and they gave these girls alcohol and cannabis, which is very common for these guys. Even the Finnish police force has issued warnings for parents that these migrant groups do this, that there are young girls who are looking to party, they want alcohol, but they can't buy it themselves because they are underage. And these migrant men promise them alcohol, and by that get to lure these girls into private apartments where these girls are then gotten drunk and raped. And they say that this 29-year-old man tried to harass this young schoolgirl several times, and the girl had to repeatedly reject his attempts. And in the end, the entire group went to bed, and 2 of the women and the owner of the apartment, the 22-year-old guy, went to a separate space, and this young schoolgirl and her friend slept on a bed that was made to the floor of the studio apartment. And soon this 29-year-old man had come there, and he had grabbed the girl and started taking her clothes off. The girl was very drunk and tried to say no, but in the end wasn't able to resist when the man was strongly grabbing her breasts and having intercourse with her. And they say that the situation was very painful for this helpless victim, and that the friend next to her was pretending to be asleep but realized what was going on. I heard her say, "No, don't," the friend told later on in a police interrogation. And the friend was so afraid of the man that she did not dare to intervene. She admitted it later on that because she was so intoxicated, she wasn't able to respond to the situation in the proper fashion. And think about it, she has just been lying there when her friend is being raped right next to her. And in the end, the guy got up, went to the bathroom, and left the apartment. And soon the owner of the apartment had molested the girl in the same fashion. The friend had by then fallen asleep or passed out, and she didn't see that situation. In the police interrogation, the 29-year-old denied having intercourse with the girl. He said that he was so strongly under the influence of alcohol and cannabis that he wouldn't even have been able to have intercourse. And this is the weird part, one of the weird parts. The man made it clear that he has both a mother and a girlfriend, and that he does not need 15-year-old girls. Can you imagine anything creepier than that? He has a mother and a girlfriend, so he doesn't need a 15-year-old girl. What does he do with that mother? Like, that's such a creepy thing to say. The doctor had reported that there were bruises on the victim's breasts, and in the medical exam there was a sperm found in this girl, and the Y chromosome type didn't fit the 29-year-old who had raped her first, but it was similar to the 22-year-old guy who owned the apartment and, according to the girl's story, had raped her later on in that same night. The younger man also denied any claims of an intercourse. He claimed to be a very religious person who doesn't drink or smoke. And that's what they always say. Like, Muslims have this thing that they always like to pretend they are more religious than they really are. And the court found that of the guilt of the older man who had first raped the girl, there was enough evidence. And they convicted him into 18 months suspended sentence of an aggravated abuse of a minor, or sexual abuse of a minor. So imagine you rape a 15-year-old girl. You are 29 yourself, you get this girl drunk, then you rape her violently so that you bruise her, you traumatize her, and you get a slap on the wrist. 18 months suspended sentence. So he basically didn't get anything, because suspended sentence is a warning, basically, that okay, don't do this again. Can we agree that you won't do this again? And this is why these guys do this stuff, because they know that there won't be any real consequences. You can rape our girls. Like, you can come over here and rape our friends and daughters, and we are not going to do anything about it. We are just going to give a slap on the wrist, a little warning, some papers, and you're done with it. Then you can move on to the next girl. And
but he has to pay 300 euros.
Yeah, 300 euros. Yes, they say that he has to pay 300 euros of fines. That's 50-day fines. The same amount you can easily get with hate speech charges. So this is just unbelievable. And for some reason, the court dismissed or didn't convict the younger man, the owner of the apartment. They say that the evidence was only the girl's story, and that the fact that the Y chromosome type fitted the suspect wasn't as reliable a mean for identifying a person as a real DNA exam. So the girl's testimony had been truthful in all other parts they could verify. She hadn't lied at any point. And she had been completely truthful about the first guy raping her. Why would she lie about this? And they have the Y chromosome type. It is something at least to support the girl's story. So it's ridiculous that they would let this guy off, because there's no reason to believe the girl is lying. She has been truthful that far. All of the things that she has said that have been verifiable have been verified. So why say that she's lying there? And this is interesting. The convicted man filed a complaint about his sentence to a higher court. And he still denied having intercourse with the girl and found the sentence to be too severe. Like, imagine he raped a 15-year-old girl, he got a suspended sentence with 300 euros of fine. That's nothing. That's basically just the fine, 300 euros. And he still has the goal to file a complaint about it. And they say that he indirectly admitted that something had happened because as an alleviating circumstance, he referred to an exceptional and unexpected temptation. So exceptional and unexpected temptation. That's like basically saying he had a sexual emergency, isn't it?
Yeah.
But his complaint wasn't accepted. The higher court simply confirmed the sentence given by the lower court. And they say that he has to pay the victim 2,200 euros in damages. And usually people are never going to see this money. And when it comes to crime victims, it usually goes that if the convicted person doesn't have any money, then the state pays the victim, and the convicted person then owes the money to the state. But the state never gets that money from these guys because they never end up working. They are unemployed for their entire lives. So it's basically that he won't even have to pay for those damages. It's the state that pays them, and the state will never get their money back from him.
Yeah, and this case happened 3.5 years ago. So it was just yesterday that this was finalized.
And think about it, these guys have been on the loose till that. The victim has had to live with the court process that still has been in the process for 3.5 years. And now they are yet again let off, like with a suspended sentence. That must be so terrible for the victim. Imagine that.
Yeah, I'm ordering these papers now.
Yeah, and by the sound of this guy's name, I think he might have been Iraqi. It's not always that easy to tell what country these names are from, but let's see what the name was. Yes, his name is Bashar Nureddin Karim, and that sounds very Iraqi, so I think it's very highly likely that he's either Iraqi or from Afghanistan. They have that kind of names. So no wonder these guys want to come over here. Like, first of all, they get free living on the expense of the Finnish taxpayer. They won't have to do anything in their entire life. Everything is paid for. And they even get to rape girls around here with no punishment. Like, of course, it's a dream for these psychopath con artists, like the worst of the worst. Like, Finland has, and Sweden and these other Nordic countries, they have turned themselves into sort of luring systems for the worst people on the planet. Like, why would good people want to come over here? Of course they wouldn't want to come over here, because this is an unfair and exploiting system for law-abiding citizens. They have to pay for all of this. But if you are of the scum of the earth, you are the worst of the worst, then of course this is very tempting country to come into, because you can exploit everything around here, and you won't ever have to do anything. You won't ever have to take responsibility over anything. And even if you rape people, even if you do anything, people make excuses for you. Like these anti-racists, they can explain anything away in their own discussions. And for example, when a 14-year-old girl was raped in the town of Kempele, which is pretty nearby from here, one woman said that there are all sorts of little bitches around, and that we shouldn't think that the victim is so innocent, that she might have been like forcing herself on this asylum seeker, this 14-year-old Lestadian girl. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, I don't think she's been like pushing herself on this old asylum seeker guy. But imagine saying things like that, calling a 14-year-old rape victim a little bitch, just because your ideology says that the migrants always have to be the victims. They never can be the perpetrators of anything. But we are done with the stories, and we have pretty well stuck with the 2-hour time frame. So maybe we could check out the comments if there's any questions or anything. So if you have anything on your mind, write it in there now. And I'll scroll a bit upwards to see what has been talked about before, because I don't always have time to read these while we are in the middle of the live stream. Let's see, I think there's some talk about, I guess, Devon Tracy. And can I come to Finland and ask for a refugee status? Of course you can. That's the problem. Just come to the border and say asylum. Pretend that you don't speak any language. Toss your paperwork. Toss your ID. And that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of argument going on in here. Striking migrants, do they refuse to accept welfare? Of course not. And in one of my earlier videos, I told about this migrant strike in Denmark. It was really funny that they went on strike because they didn't have summer vacation. Like on 2 days of the week, they had to take part in 6 hours of education in the Danish language. So they have to take 12 hours of language courses a week. And they complain about not having a summer vacation they could spend with their children. And they said that it's unfair and that Denmark is a far-right state because they don't get this summer vacation. And they said that because normal Danish people get summer vacation with their children, they should also get it. But they didn't remember that the normal Danish people work and they earn their vacations by working. And that's how it happens. And these guys aren't working. And the only thing demanded of them is that they go to the fucking language courses on 2 days of the week for 6 hours. Who cannot do that? Like, there's no limit to like how greedy and how brazen these people can be, that you never should be surprised of anything they do. Expect everything of them. Like, there's no shame in them. They like a Finnish person would be embarrassed to even think about striking about food, free food, given without like any demands, and striking about it and protesting and saying, okay, this food is bad, I want better free food. Like, no, Nordic people wouldn't do that. But these people, they just have no shame. And that just goes to show that they have absolutely no respect for us. They wouldn't do that in their own countries because they know their own countrymen wouldn't take that bullshit. like that they wouldn't get anywhere with those demands in their own countries. But they know that we are weak and that we can do anything they demand of us. So of course they go with it. And the leftists feed that idea in them, that the leftists are the ones who often organize their demonstrations and make them possible, like they are enablers. For example, these illegal migrants who are protesting in Helsinki demanding for an asylum, and they have gotten rejected, they wouldn't be there if these leftists didn't organize tents for them, didn't bring food there every day. Like, it's the leftists that feed the greed of the migrants and this completely shameless behavior. And then there's one of Tuonola, another question. Have you considered trying to go on Andy Warski live stream? Remember you saying he was one of your favorite channels, suggested you in a super chat a bit ago. I have once sent him a message on Twitter, like a PM, because he follows me, so I can PM him, but he didn't respond to me. So no, I think not. And I think I'm a bit too far right for his channel. I think he wants to like keep it a pretty moderate, like more on the anti-SJW side, not on the real nationalist alt-right style of things.
Well, I understand he has 5 shows per week, so maybe one day.
Maybe one day. But with Black Pigeon, we talked, last time we made a live stream, we talked about making another live stream at some point. And I don't know, there have been a lot of interesting developments in these things, and there's a lot to talk about. So maybe we could contact him for another live stream or something like that. CNN got caught faking a story the other day. Hilarious. I think you're talking about the Muslim women they recycle around London to make it seem as if the Muslims are protesting ISIS and grieving for the victims of terrorist attacks. I think it was pretty hilarious too. Those women didn't even bother to change their clothes between the photo shoots. It was pretty easy to prove that they are same people in each photo. You should reach out to Stefan Molyneux. Yes, of course I could try. I really like his channel. I think he is one of the very few people of whom I like to listen to the longer videos too. Like, usually I only listen to short videos because I don't want to invest too much in a video. Like, it can turn out that it's completely boring and it's a waste of time. But with Stefan, it's always interesting. I have never seen even a 2-hour video from him that isn't interesting and good quality. And let's see. I can get you on Dave Rubin, maybe. Yes, I have watched the Rubin report sometimes. Like, I don't watch that regularly, but yeah, I have seen a lot of episodes on it. Scroll. There were people in the chat when I suggested you saying that your views were extreme. It may have deterred it a bit, but he said he'd look into it. Yes, that's exactly what I said, that I think I'm a bit too far right for him. Like, I think he likes to keep it on a pretty moderate side, like on the anti-SJW viewpoint. And Shane would have donated. Yes, I have only a PayPal. The Patreon isn't available over here because of the local law, which is very strict. And but I do have a PayPal account. It's I'll try to get it in the chat box. Swanoft@gmail.com. So SWANOFT. And of course, now the apocalypse has stricken me too pretty hard. A lot of my videos are demonetized now. Earlier, it could be long periods that none of my videos were demonetized, but now pretty much all of them get demonetized right away. And a lot of my videos have gotten legal complaints, and that's a big problem because there is no complaint process for them. If YouTube gets a legal takedown request, they simply block the video for certain countries, and there's no complaint process because YouTube doesn't want to take any chances. They don't want to get sued. So a lot of my videos have gotten blocked in Germany and France and certain other smaller countries. And I have given feedback to YouTube. I'm now waiting for them to respond to me. I hope I can get something done about it because it's pretty annoying, and a lot of my subscribers have complained that they cannot view my videos. So I don't know. I hope I can fix that situation, but I'm not giving any promises because it's all up to YouTube. And I think it's someone just bullying me with false legal takedown request, because even the video titled Channel News, a new channel, and something like that, in which I only talked about starting a new channel and my uploading schedule and things like that, even that had gotten blocked in certain countries for legal reasons. So somebody's just throwing around these legal complaints to bully me. And I send feedback about that for YouTube. So my ad revenue is really down for this channel now because of all this. But no worries. I'm not going to quit because of that. Like, these guys cannot bully me out of business. And of course, a huge thank you for all of those who have donated. Like, there have been a few pretty big donations too, and all amounts, of course, are very moving in a way, because it feels so, in a way, so bizarre that somebody likes your work so much that they are willing to give you their own money, even though they don't even know you and they are on the other side of the world. So it's always very interesting and touching in a way. And it really makes me feel that I have achieved at least something, that I have at least reached some people. I've been telling everyone I can about you. California could benefit from your informed perspective and wisdom. Well, thank you. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thanks. I try to watch all women who have common sense, because we need more women fighting for our people. And that's exactly how it is, because it's not enough for men to try and fix this, because first of all, if you have women who get a lot of publicity or attention, it'll draw other women to the group. Like, women usually follow other women. If they see women in the far right circles, they are more easily drawn there than if they just saw men in there. Women feel more comfortable joining a circle that already has women in it. And I think the very hostile talk about women in the far right circles is a big problem, because it's really like a turn off for women. Because why would you join a group that despises women, say they are destroying the country and things like that? Like, why would you want to join them? Like, we need to attract women, not drive them to the left, because the left keeps saying all the nice and positive things for them. So of course people are more prone to listen to positive things and go where they are greeted with a welcoming feeling. And that's exactly what we should try to create, that we are welcoming to people who are joining this group. And it's not just women, but it's also leftists in general, that if the talk about them is very hostile, it makes converting for them much more difficult. But if we stay open and we say, okay, you have been wrong, but you have changed your mind, so it's okay, then we get more people in more easily. So I would be more careful about how we talk about women and how we talk about especially these center leftists that are basically just going with the multiculturalists because it's the trend and they don't have the courage to do otherwise, but they could find the courage within themselves. So those are the people we could get on our side, but we need to play it smart to get that to happen. Are there any other comments in there, questions or anything?
Not really.
Let's see.
Are there many red-pilled people in Finland? We do not have statistics on that.
I think it comes in sort of different levels, that most Finnish people are for limited immigration. Most Finnish people want the borders to be closed from asylum seekers, but they are pretty passive about it. They might even vote for multiculturalists because they don't value the immigration question to be so important that they would base their voting decision on immigration alone. And then there are the more vocal, let's say, high-class racists who try to be very moderate. They usually throw a lot of bones to the leftists and say that, okay, we only need to take the good immigrants in. It's okay if we take 1 million Africans over here, if they are the good sort of immigrants, if they just are educated and integration willing, and if they are law abiding, then it's no problem to take in 1 million Black Africans. Like, they are the sort that are willing to criticize Islam, but they aren't willing to discuss the importance of race, and that the racial differences alone are enough to create problems, as we can see in the United States. People are Christian over there, but still they have a huge divide between the races. So it's not culture, or it's not integration, it's not religion, it's also race. So no, we cannot take in 1 million Black Africans, even if they are very nice people willing to integrate into our society. So that is a pretty big class among the immigration critics, or the sort of left-pilled people, red-pilled people. And then there are the sorts of us, like the more left-pilled. Why do I keep saying left-pilled? I know I'm getting tired. It's almost 3 a.m. over here. Red-pilled people, like us, who take things a bit further, who don't try to please the leftists, who don't try to play with the "no, I'm not racist, approve of me" game, in which they try to virtue signal by posting photos of you and your Black friends on social media to get approval from leftists. And No, we don't do that stuff over here. And then, of course, there are the even more radicals, like the Nordic resistance movement, those who are like really neo-Nazis, but they are a very small minority. There must be maybe like a couple of hundred of them in Finland. And then there are, of course, the different fringe groups that hang around the far right because they share some ideas with us, like the immigration critical tinfoil hats, who talk about chemtrails and big pharma and vaccinations created by the Jews that eat the brains of the goyim and and all this pretty out there stuff. And they aren't really a part of the far right, but they like to hang around because they try to get attention for their ideas by trying to please the far right audience, trying to pretend as if they are far right. So there are different levels of it in here. How can we stop the white genocide? I don't think there's much else to do than to close the borders, send all those out of here who have no really valid reason to stay here, which basically means at least 95% of the people from developing countries who are over here. And of course, it takes a lot of an attitude change, because for now, white Westerners, they worship all that is foreign. Like they are being brainwashed from a very early age that everything from Africa or the Middle East is wonderful and vibrant, and there is no fault in Islam, and that we should just embrace these wonderful, enriching cultures and their ways and their people. And of course, it's not like that, and that's deteriorating our society. So it takes political changes and it takes an attitude change. And someone asks what I think about the National Coalition Party of Finland. And well, no, well, they claim to be right-wing, but they are more like corporatists with a multiculturalist twist. They used to be more sane about immigration, let's say in the 90s, but now they are just like the leftists. I don't see any difference in them. All of these big parties, they are basically the same. That's why they get along so well. Like that's why they are so easy to divide the power between them, and that's why they can manage the system so easily between them. They are basically the same, all of them. And well, I don't think there's much else here in the comment section, and it's getting very late. We are already past 2 hours, so maybe it's time to stop in here and start planning going to bed. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and bye.